Good morning, guys. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm just going to record a quick video talking about the Safemoon tax and the reaction from the Safemoon army based on this tax. A lot of people didn't understand this information. It's very simple information, but if you don't look at it, then you're just not going to know. First of all, if you decrease the Safemoon tax, you're decreasing the amount of reflections you get. The Safemoon tax goes from 10% to 1%. You're decreasing the amount of reflections and every other part of the tax by 10. It's even worse as far as reflections go. Not only is the Safemoon tax being decreased from 10% to 1%, also the amount of the tax that's going towards reflections is also being decreased from 40% to 25%. And the amount that's going to Safemoon is being increased from 10% of the tax to 25% of the tax. And what that leaves you with, in V1 you had to have $1 billion in volume, and for every billion tokens you held, you would get $50. In V2, you would have to have 1 million tokens, and every billion in volume, you would get almost $100. Now with this V3 tax, you have to have 1 million tokens and 1 billion in volume to get $6. To get $6 worth of Safemoon. The price doesn't matter. People get confused. The price doesn't matter when it comes to this. No matter how high or low the price is, the dollar amount's going to be the same. The lower the price, the more tokens, the higher the price, the less tokens, but it's always going to come out to the same dollar amount. And with every $1 billion in volume, which is 33 million a day, which is way above what we're seeing right now, which means that people are getting fractions of a penny for reflections right now. If you look at the two main reasons of why people bought into Safemoon, locked liquidity and reflections, passive income. Liquidity wasn't locked. John took from the liquidity. This is really important. V1 pancake swap. They were migrating tokens. This is what I believe happened. They were migrating tokens from two different liquidity pools, V1 pancake swap, V2 pancake swap. They had Safemoon and BNB. That's what liquidity is. It's a pair of the token and the native token. And instead of migrating it to the liquidity pool, they would take the BNB and use it as a buy for V2. If you guys remember Thomas doing this and everybody was celebrating as if this was some amazing thing without even really thinking it through. The whales would take profits on those buys and then the price would tank. And now there's less liquidity because that liquidity is not migrated. But even worse, that Safemoon was being taken from the V1 liquidity. The Safemoon was being taken from the liquidity from V1 and V2, what was used for the buy, and then being sold over the counter to Bitmart. And when it was sold over the counter to the Bitmart, that was just them agreeing to a certain amount, which means that John was saying, hey, here's a bunch of Safemoon and I'll take all that 5% tax of Tether, maybe 10% tax of Tether, which would have been an insane amount of money because the volume on Bitmart was way higher than on PancakeSwap at the time. And then John would take all that Tether and then he would be getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. Those millions of dollars, if it's coming from reflections, if it's coming from liquidity, which all that was coming from liquidity and reflections, is literally coming from our reflections and our liquidity. The two main reasons that people believe in Safemoon are the reasons that John got rich. Beyond this, people are saying when it comes to the math that I was wrong. I'm not wrong. The amount that you got for V2 was 4%, so it was actually increased. You were getting $100 worth of Safemoon for every $1 billion in volume. Now you're getting 6. 100 divided by 6 is 16 to 17. It's not 16, it's not 17, it's 16 to 17, and I rounded up. Instead of saying 16, I just said 17, and then people said, oh, the math is wrong, as if that discredits anything what I'm saying, which is the fact that now to see the same dollar amount that you were getting before, to get that $100, you have to have 16 to 17 billion dollars of volume just to hit $100 for every million Safemoon you hold. Think about that. Think about that. Stop being a maxi and think about that for a second. For every $1 billion in volume, Safemoon investors were splitting $40 million worth of Safemoon. But Safemoon itself was getting $10 million for the ecosystem. Now, because Safemoon has increased the amount that it's getting, instead of getting 10% of it, it's going to be getting a quarter of it. And so they're going to be getting way more than they got. So we get the same amount at 17 billion, and then Safemoon's getting like 4 times more. We need 16 billion in volume for you to make $100 on Safemoon. In 3 months, you're not going to hit $1 billion in volume, which means in 3 months, if you hold 1 million tokens, you're not going to make $6 worth of Safemoon. Think about that. And then people are saying, well, you're not considering that the supply is going to be reduced because it's going to be moved to different places. You don't have to consider that. If you separate the supply, that separates the volume as well. Whenever we separated Safemoon onto exchanges, the volume didn't just stay the same. The volume actually typically was higher on those exchanges, especially Bitmart. The volume on Bitmart was way higher than the volume on PancakeSwap. So when you separate the supply, you also separate the volume, which means that even if the Safemoon supply is being separated in these different places, the volume is going to be separated as well. It's not as if you separate the volume in all these different places and now the volume is going to skyrocket here and the reflections are going to be insane. And even if it does, it's still going to need to be 16 to 17 times enough for you to get that. And what does that leave you with? It leaves you with Safemoon passive income is not going to happen with this tag. It's impossible. It's impossible. impossible for that tax to be anything meaningful for anybody that's not a massive whale in this project. Another thing about Safemoon Reflections is you have to sell it. Everybody would have to be selling Safemoon Reflections, which would be enormous sell pressure on the charts. The kind of profit from outside utility it would take to support that massive selling pressure from everybody, not just selling their bags, but selling the Safemoon Reflections they're getting, which is technically their bags, would be enormous. One of the main psychological factors of why a project explodes is because people anticipate profit, whether it be through rewards or whether it be through selling their bag. And right now, Safemoon investors, the number one reason that they had to hold Safemoon has been taken away. There's no reason to hold. John has never demonstrated that Safemoon investors are ever going to be prioritized. They didn't take hundreds of thousands of the Safemoon dollars they were getting from the Safemoon swap and pour that into buyback and burn. That would have been demonstrating this is for the investors. Safemoon investors, you're always last. Taxpayers, you're always last. People at the top, they control everything. They control the information. Everything is dangerous misinformation and FUD if it contradicts their narrative. And everything that they do is the next amazing thing, and it's for the greater good of everybody. We always pay for it. You know what I mean? Inflation, we pay for it. Billions of dollars here, we pay for it. It's the same process, the same psychological process of humanity and human greed playing out on a major scale and playing out on a smaller scale. The centralized process, the decentralization was supposed to counter. John Crony's in charge of everything with Safemoon. He's in charge of everything, and he is never going to prioritize you guys. The problem is that Safemoon maxis, anything that happens is amazing for Safemoon. Like, your logic is so simple. John broke his leg. That's amazing because now he can sit at home and like actually focus on, like, no matter what happens, it's great for Safemoon. World War III, oh, this is good for Safemoon. Like, it just doesn't matter what happens. It's always going to be good for Safemoon. That's your logic. That's how simple it is. It doesn't actually consider whether something is good or not good for Safemoon because it sees talking bad about Safemoon as hurting Safemoon. If the house is on fire and you go, oh no, this is great, you know, I didn't really like this place, and you don't get out of the burning building, you're an idiot. And I would say the same thing with Safemoon. No offense to anybody, but if the place is on fire and you're like, this is amazing, you know, John fired everybody, he's suing his mom, took from the liquidity pool, he deserves that money. You know what I mean? Like, the degree to which you will go until you finally just go, holy crap, man, was I wrong about all this? And not only was I wrong, but I was reinforcing a bunch of other people to think the same way. And, you know, so on Twitter, I have people that basically block me, hide behind my accounts like Randolph, and then talk trash about me. And it's like, well, it's because you're a coward. And I don't mean that in a talking trash way. It's just literal fact. You hide, you block me, and then you look at my account, what I'm up to, and then you talk trash to me. And people wonder why people still talk about Safemoon, or why fudders still talk about Safemoon. It's because these people are delusional. Not just delusional, they're the most hateful delusional people I've ever seen in the crypto space. Literally everything that they could be wrong about, they were wrong about it at the most important time to be right about it. When it actually affects investors' decisions, you're always wrong. You're always wrong. Ryan quitting, you were wrong. Thomas quitting, you were wrong. When it's most important to be right, you're always wrong. So I did a long live stream yesterday talking about the math. If you guys want to watch that, it's a long video, but it's me basically just breaking down the math. I can post that link. But just to make a quicker video for people who don't have time for a long video like that, the main point is to say that for every $1 billion in Safemoon, for every million tokens you hold, you're getting $6 worth of Safemoon. John Crony increased the amount that they're getting for Safemoon and decreased the amount of reflections you're getting through the percentage of the tax and through the tax itself. And they increased the amount that they get from 10% to 25%. There's ignorant people on Twitter where you guys call me an idiot. And it's like, well, did you even check before you just called me an idiot? Did you check before you just liked that post calling me an idiot? No, you didn't. I'm not saying that this is in and of itself a bad thing. I'm just talking about the implications of it. Maybe it will increase volume. Maybe it will bring attention. I personally don't think it will by any significant amount. Definitely don't think it'll be by 16x. Even if the volume increases by 10x, even if it increased to 100,000, you're still going to be getting less reflections as if the volume had stayed at $10,000 with the previous tax. So reflections, in my opinion, dead. Unless they say this is a temporary time where we're trying to attract new investors and we plan on increasing it at a certain point. Actually, that might not be a bad idea to communicate something like that if that was the case, because people might rather buy knowing that the tax is less, the people that believe in Safemoon. Let me know what you think about the reflections and how much that's changed and how you would get $6 per every million tokens for every $1 billion in volume. Let me know what you think about that. And let me know what you think about John Crony increasing the amount that they get of the tax from 10% to 25%. And I'll try to respond to everybody in the comments down below.